Oh my goodness. Can you send that to me, please? I just want to post that and also send it out to Philly Voice. That's awesome, man. Fucking awesome. Well done, sir. Thank you. Oh, that's fine. So here's what I need to do today. Sorry. I gotta send you this original stuff. Can we swap that out? No. DraftKings I'll read. I'll do that today. The music for the stream is what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. No. It would be for Monday. It would be starting Monday. And I'm going to send you a bunch. So whatever you like, keep. Whatever you don't like, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. That means a lot. It's like people, it's like producers that have worked with like Kanye or Taylor Swift or Fat Joe that have created songs that didn't get picked up. It's like throwaways. So it's all original shit, but it's by professional people, and we're using it because YouTube won't kick us off. I don't know why. I just can't stop laughing. He's a gem, man. I love that guy. All right, 11:40. There is a big angle, something maybe a little smaller too, about tonight's game, and we'll look at that heavy and explore everything, the return of Thursday night football, from coach to player to conference, everything that means the return of the NFL. I need to throw this out here because I don't know why we're still doing this. It's almost like this has become one of these trends, but it's one of those just stupid trends. And I don't want to equate it to somebody eating Tide Pods because I think people died doing that. So I don't want to make light of that by any means. But why are we still asking celebrities who their Mount Rushmore is of all timers? Like, who's your Mount Rushmore of favorite quarterbacks or rappers or basketball players specifically? Why are we still doing this? Where Shaq now is the latest. And again, I'm telling you, people are doing this stuff on purpose. Maybe Shaq has a new show out on a podcast with Russell Wilson. Wait a second. This is called Danger Talk with Russell Wilson. Notice any red flags already, Ron? Wouldn't that be some brand name that you would use now to get, like, why wouldn't his podcast? Well, no, Danger Talk, I think, needs to be replaced with like Mr. Unlimited or the Unlimited Podcast or something like that. Unlimited Talk. No, I don't think so. No, I think it's Unlimited. He legally changed his name to Unlimited, middle name. Well, the judge's not going to say it that way. The judge is just going to spell it. Otherwise, it's not. No, it's not Trademark Unlimited. you can go full on. Unlimited. I think that would, and wouldn't that be the start of the podcast every week? It's the Unlimited podcast featuring Mr. Unlimited himself, Russell Wilson. And instead, he's not even making any, look, he's not even getting any type of eyes or ears to that Unlimited. Instead, it's all about the Danger podcast. And Trev from the 203 on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shander Show says, Danger talk, not unlimited talk. That's a shame. Exactly right. There's, as you said, Ron, it doesn't have to be unlimited. It can be unlimited talk. It can be, it can be a phrase that you trademark. Maybe he should. Who is Mr. Unlimited? If you Google Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson is everywhere. Has anybody else come up for Mr.? There's no Thanos or anything like that. Come on, I appeal to you as the comic book guy on this program. Yeah. Well, it's not me. I can tell you that. Mr. Unlimited Show. No, this is like, it's just all of Russell Wilson. That's it. I found MrCarWash.com/unlimited wash club. So you can be a part of the Unlimited Wash Club at Mr. Wash. There you go. Is that Mr. Unlimited on the line right there? I don't see anything else except the random just insert of that business in Tennessee or something in Texas that is used unlimited for some sort of measurement. Nothing like that at all. It's crazy. He definitely dropped the ball because we're talking about the podcast. But for whatever reason, this is why you need to vet some of these questions, man. This is why I don't mind when anybody famous, when anybody who is a VIP that's being interviewed comes out and says, well, I need to see the questions ahead of time. You know, our camp needs to see. A lot of times when you interview the politicians that come on these radio shows or television shows, they need a list of questions ahead of time. Every now and again, depending on who it is in sports, they may ask for it as well. So you oblige, you get them on, and maybe you venture off a little bit. The easy stuff is once somebody says something to do just a couple of follow-ups, and next thing you know, you're off the list of questions, but at least the interview is organic and it's not something that's forced. With all of that said, why? Why ask him about his Mount Rushmore of former teammates? And then going into the Mount Rushmore of Cleveland. Now, again, this whole thing, when you read the headline, doesn't match up to the story. It's absurd, yet the big problem that I would have has nothing to do with Shaq. It has to do with that lazy question and, more importantly, the ball drop. This is not a good sign for the Seahawks. Might have to fade the Seahawks. They're in Atlanta opening up. I think it's a 1.5 point line now down to. This might be a pretty good indicator. If Russell Wilson has no idea how to truly take advantage of that ridiculous video and capitalize on it. We've got women coming out telling stories about the Phoenix Suns and Odell Beckham Jr. making millions on their OnlyFans account. Here is Russell Wilson, who went viral for a day and a half. We have a promo from Jake Asman running on this, for goodness sakes, and yet still absolutely nothing. He doesn't even have the name change active on his podcast. Terrible ball drop by Russell Wilson here. Unbelievable that we're at that point. Now, people are upset because in real life, I guess this is somewhat real life, people are upset that Shaq left LeBron off as his favorite teammate of all time, on the Mount Rushmore at least. We need to get a collective life, man. We need football. This is why football is back. NFL looked up and said, no, you need us. Saw the bat signal up there and said, there we go. Commissioner Gordon. Stupid NBA questions, a.k.a. Commissioner Gordon, is at it again requesting our help. Who are we to decline this country? Speaking of which, it's Thursday Night Football. We'll talk about that next. All right, let's do it. Dude, Mitch is joining us on our new affiliate in Atlantic City. Perfect. Oh, hey, awesome, man. Thank you so much. Deanna Rigg. Do you know who she was? Oh, look at that. Was she in Avengers? I assume Mitch is in Atlantic City, right? I'm just gonna say Jersey, but do you see the? Yeah, all good, my friend. Well, it is our pleasure to welcome in this week, and stay tuned because there's an even bigger announcement going on with this station, who is now joining us, 1490 AM in Atlantic City, as well as something local to Philadelphia, kind of combining forces that we anticipate announcing next week on the second level. It is our pleasure to be heard throughout South Jersey, courtesy of 1490, where Atlantic City, of course, is a hub, major hub for sports betting activity across the nation. Vegas, AC, and you see others starting to take form around the world. So we welcome in Mitch, listening on our brand new affiliate in New Jersey, to the program on the second level. Hey, Mitch. Likewise. Good to hear you too, Mitch. Yeah, but you see now how this whole torch has been passed, moving on in this conference to where you've got two guys really in Mahomes and Jackson, who and your Rams may not get out of week one. To unfortunately, is I hate to admit it, but I think Dallas is going to win that game. Doesn't mean the Rams are cooked. I like Dallas early on, but you can see in the big picture how everything has changed over now with this torch being passed. Absolutely, Mitch. Thanks for making it and listening on a brand new affiliate 1490 AM in Atlantic City. I'll say this about the Rams, and it's a good place to start because you've got two teams that come in with different types of expectation, but they're pretty heavy right now. And you heard Mitch say, as far as when he opened up the call, that the Rams looking to bounce back. That's exactly what LA is trying to do right now. Bounce back from last year and show that whatever's going on with Cooper Kupp and even Robert Woods, as far as trying to get something consistent with a dual effort, can be backed up with more consistent play from Jared Goff. But I don't know if it's Sean McVay getting figured out more and more, or if it's simply the league catching up with Jared Goff as well. They have to be much better with all of the money attached to that football team. I mean, that's really it. 9-7, missing the playoffs doesn't cut it when you have so much money attached to that squad. The Cowboys, on the other hand, have a different type of heavy pressure on them. Odds-on favorite to win the division. Eagles are dealing with a bunch of line issues, health issues with their wide receivers. Miles Sanders, the running back, the feature back, might not even play on Sunday. They're going up against a Washington team that their defensive line is a savior for them, at least keeping them in games. They may lose, but at least keeping them in games. And here's Dallas returning a lot of consistency on offense. On top of that, adding a young wide receiver to the mix. They have it where the expectations from their owner alone, but really people watching this team, are go out, win the division. Nobody's won the division back-to-back in like 16 years. So go out, take advantage of that, avoid the wild card, that's the New York Giants. And then from there, start to look at how deep they can make a run in the postseason, assuming things return somewhat to normal in end of January, February. But Dallas is looked at, and I get it, because of what they can return from a consistency standpoint. And let's be fair here. Dallas has a quarterback that is probably more motivated than anybody right now, and that's to secure the biggest, fattest bag he can of cash. Jared Goff, on the other hand, doesn't mean he's lazy, doesn't mean he's turned into one of these guys where you make a platinum album, and next thing you know, the next time you see him is like 3 years later, they drop a single. You haven't heard from them since. They've gained 50 pounds. And you're like, man, you've been living off that one single on that one album that long. Now, I'm not saying that's Jared Goff, but what I'm saying is he needs to play significantly better from a consistency standpoint. And I can't buy that offense is going to put up a ton of points, especially coming off of this wacky offseason. Not yet. But Kupp is the key of it all. Absolutely the key of it all. Think about that. Even tonight. Tonight, we look at a game where the expectations, and just looking at these lines right now, the expectation is it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game, right? We're heading into tonight thinking just the Texans just do your job, score 21 to 24 points, and you'll see 35, something along those lines, where this thing will hit over 53.5. 53.5. Are you kidding me? I'm surprised this number hasn't been bet down to 50 yet. What is going on right now where we're looking at this offseason? You didn't have any preseason at all. You didn't have any ability to go out and really compete in a game setting against another team where it's not a whistle that is blowing short of contact. Quarterback didn't feel that same pressure that you do in a game. There are certain things, look, I get it. The preseason is junk. It's garbage. I hate it like you hate it. But we can't completely ignore that there are benefits to it. Coaching and talent mining and figuring out your roster aside, there still is some level of gameplay and game mode experience that you can take away from. For two reasons. One, let's say it's a new quarterback. Two, let's say you've added a lot of people around that new quarterback. Yeah, all right, if you have Tom Brady, the same system, I'll even do you one better. Dak Prescott in Dallas right now. You don't need him to be out there for more than a quarter, maybe a half, a series game one, maybe a half at most in game two. Might not even play much past the first or second quarter, depending on how it goes in game three, and then he sits game four. That's the bare minimum, and maybe even less than that, for a guy who's returned by a lot of other people around him, and the expectation of consistency and carryover should hold. That's why I like Dallas to score a lot of points. It doesn't mean that I don't like Kansas City to score a lot of points, but you have gutted a major weapon here for Houston. Major weapon. I can't trust the Texans to put up 24. This is not last year. Things don't carry over in the NFL when you go year to year without a pandemic, without something like this that would totally take over and dominate what you're doing in the offseason and completely control what you can do in the offseason. Just don't have any of that. In fact, the flip side of it is more expecting, at least, defense and defensive lines to dominate week one. This is going to be a heavy underplay for me all week. Defensive lines are going to get the better of offensive lines. Any inconsistency or injury on an offensive line is going to be much easier to exploit. This is probably going to be one of the few weeks we'll see this. But let's treat this like week one of the preseason. I know it sounds weird and goes counter to all of the level of excitement. I don't know who replaced Hank Williams and all the other things that are surrounding. I think who does the Sunday Night Football theme? Why am I forgetting her name, Ron Culver? Thank you, Carrie Underwood. We're going to have all of this. And I know I'm excited Sunday night, right? Everybody's excited. You sit there and watch 12 hours of football, you're going to be excited every single Sunday. I get that. We all are. All of these exterior ancillary things aside, we are looking at the quality of play, probably not as good this week. A lot of things are going to suffer. And it doesn't mean that just because it's a real game, you're going to see 3/4 quarters of an offense as opposed to just a series. Well, how much can you really take out of a series in the first preseason game? Well, you can look at what's going on just getting out there with how consistent of a carryover it is for a unit that played together all year last year or a brand new unit, something that's just brand new. That's what's happening here. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs should be okay. But even still, you're working out kinks. You're working out wrinkles. You're trying to get through issues of timing. And this was not a simple, let's just practice, do the virtual stuff, and expect Pat Mahomes to come back and throw 5 of his 55 touchdowns this year. I don't think people should expect Deshaun Watson to run around for 80 yards and throw for 300 with 3 TDs. The level of expectation for points being scored this week by the books is astronomically off, in my opinion. We'll see. But I'm getting it early right now, and I know it's late on the value of Thursday, but I would start looking at this immediately across the board. In fact, already put out 8 unders that I personally played all across the board this week. I don't trust a bunch of teams to score. And collectively, I don't know how many shootouts you'll really find. Like Detroit might be one of the few teams. Arizona might be one of the few teams I would trust in a losing effort, despite me having Detroit winning and covering that game, being able to score some points. But even then, this is about talent and the ability to be more free, if you will, freer on defense and take advantage of breakdown. Offense works when everything is in unison, right? Offenses in the NFL are going to work in unison more so than just scrambling around and throwing the ball up in the air. That stuff doesn't last. It's not sustainable. That's why it's unfair to pin that on Lamar Jackson or anybody else who has the ability to run around. Carson Wentz, I don't care who it is. There's a lot to involved in a consistent, cohesive, and uniform offense, especially with that offensive line. When things break down, that's when you see chaos. And whose job is it to cause chaos? Whose job is it to cause havoc? Defensive line, first and foremost. Then you start to feel yourself a little bit as a DC, maybe send a couple of linebackers. Watch. 2 things to look at this week. Sack totals for games go as high as you would like. And also the under for a lot of these points. 53.5 seems outrageous to me. I know it's been bet down as far as the point spread is concerned. At -9.5 now, I see it on DraftKings, but we have to be honest with ourselves here. This is not a continuation of 2 playoff teams last year. This is not the playoff game last year. It wouldn't be the playoff game last year even if there wasn't a pandemic, even if you didn't see anything along those lines of something that would completely shut down this offseason. None of that. None of that at all. At Shander Show on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show, 800-224-2004. Before we wrap the hour, of note, the NFL Network and Good continue to use your platform, continue to bring attention to issues that are beyond simply worth mentioning, but important and deserve root solutions. And while this may be a surface one, it doesn't mean that it's not valid and holds weight. But the game tonight should start with a unanimous player demonstration between the two teams, in which Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Kenny Stills are leading this effort, where they would continue to use their platform, to protest social injustice and police brutality over the last several months. Again, anything that starts conversation, that pushes conversation, that is a catalyst for conversation to turn into action, I'm all for. We'll wrap the hour next on the Second Level. Hey, John, I don't know, man. You know, I got to look. I don't know. I'm tempted. I haven't looked. I did take one parlay. Let me tell you. I got to open it up on the other app. But as far as teasers are concerned, like, I wouldn't mind teasing the Ravens. Like, okay, let's look at this. I think a Ravens, like if you played a 6-point teaser, how about this? All right. Here you go, John. If you played a 6-point teaser, tease the Ravens down to 2, the Colts down to 2, and the Bears up to 9, I'm interested in that. I'd play that. In fact, I'm going to play that right now. You talked me into it. You asked for a teaser. I didn't even have it. We just created one, and you talked me into it. I'm with it. All right. Second hour. It looks like we're going to have to move some stuff around here, but that's life with John McMullen. What a diva J Mac is, huh? Went from 11:40 to 12:40, and now I already have our good buddy Michael Calabrese from the Action Network and Saturday Down South on at 12:40 Eastern because we were working around John McMullen's schedule, and now he's divaing us again. Whatever I was trying to say there. I don't know. Do we bump John? Do we bump John to just talk about stuff like on content? Or do we? That's true. He did. Well, yes, I've been bumped for far less, but he did get bumped for Charles Barkley. I don't know. What do we do? Is that right? Yeah. So we let him go now. Is that what you're saying? And like we don't do the hit today and we bring him back on Monday? All right. That's a good idea. Really? I didn't realize that we could bring him back on Friday. I thought that it was just today and that's it. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just texting him now if we can do tomorrow. Look, I didn't realize that A, that was possible, and B, I had that authority. John from Abington on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shander Show says, bump him. People weighing in right now on the Twitch channel say, get him out. Our NFL insider gets zero love. He's on twice a week with us and he gets zero love. No, he does say bump. I'll give John credit. That was a PG Twitch comment. We don't get a lot of them. All right, I guess no John today. But, we will talk to Michael Calabrese in the second hour. College football. There's a big game tonight, at least a big line tonight. Maybe that theme carries over in college. Second hour next. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay, nice. Everything all right? Got it. All good, man. Yeah, what's up, man? Good. You? Um, yeah, just I'm gonna have a guest on. Actually, you know what? Let me see. Give me 1 sec. I might need to call him, but that's pretty much it. That covers the NFL and there's a bunch of different angles. Sorry, I'm trying to figure the stream thing out. Let's see. So I'm trying, Jose, just so you know, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my guest. Ideally, I'd like to get him on my stream so that you can hear, like, remember when we were testing with you? So that he can be seen and also heard throughout the radio. So I might try and just test that real quick the next break. All right, well, I think we've made the executive decision to bump John McMullen to tomorrow, which means this hour has the return of our friend Michael Calabrese locked in 12:40 Eastern time, Saturday down south, the Action Network. We're going to try to get you as much insight as humanly possible, jammed in a 10, 11-minute segment from Michael, who's got a lot, trust me, about tonight through this week in college football. A couple of games have already been postponed, but when it comes to the actual big board of value, we're going to dive into that. Now, there's no fake. I assume this because Ron Culver has had it. I think this is something that has been in the making now for a little bit. Who was the guy? And Jose is kind enough to spend an extra hour on a radio show. And that extra hour, of course, is with me and you out there. So we appreciate it. Hopefully you're getting some hazard pay for hanging out with us. But I assume that Culver just left and said, all right, well, Jose knows what he's doing. He's one of our best producers in the building on the network. So clearly he's worked with Shander before. He knows how crazy and eccentric this guy can be. Just hang out. We'll probably talk with you for a little bit, and you can still prep for Peralt's show. I assume there was no mention of what we do because that would be unfair to you. So we're not going to have fake news this hour, which we normally have with Ron Culver, because you have to prep another radio show. It's not like you're filling in for Ron Culver. You were just yanked and was like, all right, man, we need somebody here. Let's get Jose because he's already here working. No. Can you imagine just pulling an arm out of the bullpen without even sending that guy up to the bullpen mound? Like, you don't even get bullpen mound pitches, let alone out there on the actual mound warm-up pitches. I can't, honestly, I can't assume you're going to get anything. Not from Jacob Media. I know that. This is all about Gal Media. You're going to have to push Mr. Gal and Mr. Larson on that one because it ain't coming from us. All right. Second hour begins with what else? More in the NFL. A leverage of all leverage plays next. All right. Let me try real quick. MJ. Jeez. Not gonna take. Is not gonna be enough time. $283. Okay. Well, already I can tell that there is a change in atmosphere, ambiance on the program. This is who is this? I should know, I'm sure, but I admit that I'm not a big music. Wow, I didn't realize Alchemist is still making music. Yeah, he's one of the most underrated. The catalog for the Alchemist is never really brought up like it should be because he did a couple of like he kind of just hitched his which wasn't a bad thing, but was synonymous with like one or two acts for a little bit. But then you start to realize how much he branched out. Shame on me, but again, I've checked out on a lot of stuff. It's hard, man. I can't. This is probably why you don't play fantasy football, is because it's really hard to keep up with both. Like I can't keep up with new music and 6 fantasy football rosters. Are you kidding me? I couldn't wait. I didn't have enough time as you brought to light what was going on with Jake Asman for that minute that you were on the show. I had to set everything up. We had to get your answer. The music was playing. But now that we can sit back and breathe and kind of stretch out a little bit. And look, I don't hold you accountable for it. And it is funny of all days that you're here because I saw a tweet by somebody that I follow and I thought it was a pretty big tweet to put out, especially on social media where people are just salivating and waiting for the opportunity to judge. But DJ Bird put this out at DJ_Bird, BYRD. First time in a long time, no fantasy football lineup, no suicide pick'em, no weekly pools, 75% due to COVID uncertainty, 25% due to just needing a break from it. But I will say it feels good to know I will be just enjoying football and not focused on a million different things. Does that speak to you, Jose? Because I think that you probably don't even realize it, but now you represent a lot more people coming into this specific year than maybe years prior, simply because, as DJ laid out, just COVID concerns. And you don't normally do this, so that's why I think that you're a good person to talk about this with, because there are people now, if this makes sense, there are people now coming to your side that maybe it's simply due to outside circumstances that they can't control. See, I'm telling you, man, I can't listen to a new Drake album and keep up with 6 DFS leagues. It's just not going to happen. $25. All right, this is a perfect. See, we should have done this before last night, and who would have even known that this was going to happen last night? But we could have had, you know how you do this a lot of the times with the Super Bowl. There was this big Super Bowl prop that Ron and I talked about, I think, for 2 days when we were all down in Miami, you and I and others, Jay Gasman included. And now it speaks a lot to the faces of the people, including yourself, when I walked into that apartment that you guys were staying at, and just the long, because I could already see there was one area that had been commandeered, and now putting the pieces together. This is like the end of The Usual Suspects, where I'm putting everything together. My mug drops as I realized that Asman was the main culprit. But before I go down too far in that rabbit hole, unbelievable. It puts everything into context here. But, you know, they have those props where it's who has more rushing yards, like a higher number. Damian Williams rushing yards or Astros hit by pitches this year, something like that, where you can combine the two. So we should have done this at some point, or somebody should have done this at some point. Now that I have some more insight from you as far as how many album or songs there are on these albums, nobody thought that 29 runs was going to be scored last night in any capacity. The Braves were able to do that. But I guess that would be the over-under. Like, who's known for jamming tracks into their albums? Big Sean? So his album is basically meant to be a bunch of singles, or just jamming a bunch of content in there, knowing that you'll buy it because of the single. Right. Well, that's an old an old record trick. I mean, that's back when people, back when you actually had to get people to physically go to a store and and I'm not being like back in mind. I'm just saying, like, think about this. You needed a hook. Like, that's why you would pay for a song to be played on radio 5 times over the course of 3 hours, because you need, who is that? I don't know. That's what they look like. Oh, I know their song though. Right. And that's what would that's why you needed a cool album cover, or you needed a single or two, if you were fortunate enough to bring people in. Now, Drake he's not a one-hit wonder, clearly, so he's able to pull that in. So Drake, here's the thing. Would Drake put 30 plus songs on an album? I mean, at some point, don't you have to go double album? It is a lot, but I don't know if 29 right now is the number in question here, because the Braves put up 29. They won 29-9 last night in a laugher against the Marlins. I mean, that's just ridiculous. The Marlins, mind you, are not the typical joke Miami Marlins that we're used to, although fill in the blank there. It's like, oh, same old Marlins. It was 11-2 after 2, 13-5 after 3, 18-8 after 4. And then Atlanta just keeps putting up run after run. They put up 6 in the 5, just 3 in the 6th, and then 4 in the 7th. 4 in the 7th. They went an inning and a half having 29 runs on the scoreboard. With that said, is that going to be higher than, let's look at this. We can count double album is fine. I don't care if it's a single or a double album. They're putting out the album with these tracks. We'll probably need a third artist here as well. But is that 29, the 29 runs, which is clearly going to be a season high for any team? It was the second time this has happened since 1900, for goodness sakes. So is that number going to be eclipsed by Drake, Big Sean, or who? Nicki? I mean, do we go pop, a different genre? Does Taylor Swift jam that many songs in her? It has to be somebody who is known for doing this. We can't just throw Rihanna in there if she's putting out 13 songs on an album. It has to be somebody with good value as well. We just need a third name. Yeah, absolutely. Smart. Now, do you get credit for that initial album as far as downloads because it's technically the same album over with just added content? Yeah. On top of there you have it. There you have it right there. We've gone over 30. So what's higher? We've created this now out of thin air. 29-9 last night has created this. It's a season high. We know we can lock that in. It's probably going to be a decade or half a century high. But 29 runs last night by the Braves. Will that be topped by songs on the next album for Drake, Lil Uzi Vert, or Big Sean? Now, I'll let you set the like. Who is the odds-on favorite? I would think it's Uzi Vert because he had the actual album with over 30. Like, we have to get over. It's 29. So there's no 29 and a half unless you count a skip. But we can't do that. Okay. Okay. Not the guy who's already done it. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think so, man. This is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. So you go Drake. No, I'm sorry. You go, wait, right? As the odds on favorite. Is he like plus 500, kind of on the outside? Drake, then who, though? Big Sean or Vert? Okay. Okay. I appreciate you setting up the odd, and that's the reason why we needed those odds set up. It doesn't mean that you always roll with the odds on favorite. Upsets happen every day. So I think the value would be Vert, but the odds on favorite clearly is Drake. So you're laying the juice on Drake, but you could probably get like a plus 110 return on Vert. Is that fair? You're probably laying like minus 140 or so on Drake, getting a 110 or so return on Vert. Big Sean's probably up to like plus 200, and then Wayne is at like plus 400. Is that fair? Okay. Love it. Love it. Let's do it, man. I think, honestly, I think I would roll with Vert, take my money there, go to an app. Who can we get to carry this? We'd have to get somebody in the global market. I don't think anybody, although we could always reach out to DraftKings. They're good people. They understand what's going on here, outside, of course, of just sports stuff. There you go. That's what it's exactly what we should do is say, hey, we've created a prop. We have created a live prop off of something that happened last 29 runs in Major League Baseball. It's absolutely unheard of. Hey, the story in the NFL is growing. We'll touch on that. Also, a leverage play for the ages. Two things in the National Football League before we hit Michael Calabrese at 12:40 Eastern from the Action Network and Saturday Down South. All here on the second level. It's SportsMap Radio. That's great, man. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. That's I mean that's the beauty of it is a lot of stuff that I don't. So you also know this show is completely off the fucking rails. So crazy. Not. I mean, it's just been nuts, man. Yeah, yeah. I think. I think. Um, I think that's the issue. Is it's just been like it's been crazy, man. I got married, and just trying to keep the house together. My wife's teaching remotely. Um, it's just it's a lot, but trying to piece everything together with this crazy shit going on, COVID and everything. It's just been wild. Like it's been crazy for everybody. I know that. So it's not any more. It's no different, I guess, to say that for me. So we'll chat with Michael Calabrese in 12 minutes. Before we look at college, two things brewing here in the NFL. One is already done. The other is a story that is growing. And I mentioned this towards the end of the first hour. We got the NFL Network report saying that players from both teams tonight will participate in some form of protest before the game. It could be both teams staying in the locker room for the national anthem, but nobody knows for sure. So as that story continues to develop, we also have, at least from the Colts, a storyline regarding what they plan on doing and how they plan on moving forward with being able to exercise their right of free speech in the NFL, and that's different than free speech in this country, and still balance that with using their platform. So expect, and I don't know why, again, this whole thing is met with so much disgust and please save your, I'm never watching this. This is the last sport for this, bro. That's all I'm going to say. It's been tried and proven right now, year in and year out. Nothing is going to take people away from the NFL. And if anybody actually chooses to leave the NFL, there are about 5,000 people waiting right behind you in your own circle, in your own area, in your own little world that are waiting to take your spot as a fan of this league. You can try that with the NBA. You can try that with the NHL. You can try that with women's tennis. I don't care. You can spin your wheels all you want. But we know that it is a falsehood for anybody to truly say nothing at all. Nobody, the president, prior presidents, future presidents, nobody can step in and hurt what the NFL is doing. Everybody has tried. And I keep going back to the best example out there, which is Colin Kaepernick. There were people on both sides of that Kaepernick fence that said, I'm done. That's it. I'm never watching this league again. I can't believe that they are appealing to him by allowing players to kneel, as well as I can't believe they're blackballing him and not getting him a job. And you know what happened? Ratings increased. It is the most watched network show across the board 3 times over. Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, technically Sunday at the top. Sunday Night Football is the most watched television show in the country. And you're going to sell me that your Twitter account with 24 followers that's been active for 9 years speaks for anybody? Nobody's leaving. Just make sure you understand this right now before we move forward on anything else, including what you might see throughout social media leading up to tonight's game. Nobody is leaving the NFL. That is a statement that I can make with the most certainty possible on this program. Any day, every day, I'll repeat that over and over again until people start to realize that it's actually backed with data. Nobody leaves. They just threaten. I've said I'm out. Nobody leaves. This isn't hurting you. I'll appeal to the person who is already upset, who is already pissed off that they have to see and now listen to this story from me about players, rightfully so, using their platform to bring attention at the very least to issues that need attention. I mean, it's a simple concept, right? Hey, I have a platform. I feel passionate about this issue. It's not getting nearly enough attention. Here's what I'll do about bringing attention to that issue. Nobody is solving issues in this country by kneeling or staying in the locker room. It's to create conversation. It's to create awareness. Root solutions are changing that stuff, but surface solutions at least begin the conversation. The two can coexist so long as you know that surface alone isn't going to do much. And root alone is impossible to get to unless you apply some sort of surface solution. They work in unison. They work together. Nobody is hurting you. Nobody is taking anything away from you. First off, nobody's forcing you to watch that part of the game if you don't want to watch it. And then on top of that, they're not even out there. So for the person who is upset ahead of time that players are going to be stuck in the locker room under their own choice and volition, that they're not going to come out as protest because of the national anthem being played, well, you don't even need to see them protest. For you complaining forever that kneeling is disrespectful, which it's not, as we know, Kaepernick, and I'm not even going to open up that door. It's not. Just thinking about that whole concept. You got what you wanted. For anybody who was upset this whole time about, man, they're disrespecting the flag, which they're not. They're disrespecting the military, which we know they're not. Don't do that. I don't want to see that. The NFL has solved your problem by allowing, and problem for me would be in quotes, would be by allowing the NFL players to continue to use their platform. This might be one of the few times in which there is no argument. Now, I would like to see players be out there and still visibly kneeling and visibly showing some sort of protest, but not being out there in unison speaks a lot as well. It just doesn't leave any door open for somebody to complain. Man, I'm never watching this sport again. I got to see these guys kneel during the anthem. Yeah, I know that 12-second cut right there of somebody kneeling next to somebody else, it just ruined your day. Absolutely ruined your day. Fans of bad teams maybe are already going into the day upset. This is it. Week one of a long season for my Jags. I don't know, but you can't expect me to now listen anymore. At one point, I was at the very least willing to listen, not ever go to your side, but try and listen and figure out what exactly you're thinking about. In this case, I can't. All right, before we break and chat with Michael coming up in 6 minutes, this is a fantastic story of leverage. And it's also why it's always difficult to try and apply an analogy about what's going on in professional sports and even top-end college football, maybe a couple of college basketball programs, but nothing is going to compete with the impact and economics of college football. Why you don't compare that to your life, my life, the day-to-day. It's very rare that what happened with Jason Peters is going to happen in your work, your industry, my work, my industry. Although you would be surprised. All right, I'll give you a perfect example. All right. Jose, you have been brought in to be the on-air producer for Pushing the Odds, meaning you're there for Matt to talk to, and you're also there to produce the show, correct? If for whatever reason tomorrow our great, fantastic program director, Mr. Craig Larson, brought you in and said, hey, Jose, we need you to no longer run the board and do anything technical, but now be a second chair. You are a co-host for Matt Perrault, except we're not going to pay you anything more. Don't you think you may not have this moment of leverage ever again, but don't you think at that point, and I'm creating this hypothetical because that's not going to happen at our network. No. But my point of it is you would turn around and at least talk to you, your agent, your rep, your family, whoever, and say, hold on a second here. They love me. They know how exceptional I am as a producer, and now they want to use me as a host, but I'm still getting paid the producer rate. Something's not right. You would want to get paid a host rate, correct? That's what Jason Peters did. He was brought in to play right guard. Left tackle position is an absolute nightmare in Philadelphia. So he said, pay me more, and I'll move from right guard to left tackle where you need me more. You need me out there protecting the blind side of your quarterback as opposed to opening up running lanes for the running back. Of course he should be paid more. It was the biggest no-brainer leverage play of the offseason. Michael Calabrese, Action Network, Saturday Down South, next on the second level. All right, I'm going to bring Michael in real quick and make sure you can hear him. Michael.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. Jose, can you hear him? Do me a favor. Can you hold the talkback button down, and I'll have Michael count to 10. All right. Go ahead, Michael.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Can't hear
9,
him?
10.
Okay, hold on. Try again, Mike. Just count to 3.
1, 2, 3.
Nothing, Jose? Huh. Good news is I can hear you crystal clear, and we can still. All right, we're going to have to call you, buddy. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thanks, man.
Yep.
Fuck. Yep, doing that right now. Hold on. I'm sending you the right number. Sorry. Thanks, buddy. All right, we go out to the progressive guest line, and we're going to try to jam in as much content as humanly possible about this week in college football with an expert, one of the best minds in the country here in Michael Calabrese at East Breeze on Twitter. Action Network, Saturday Down South at SDS is how you can follow along there. Everything college football. But, Michael, we do have to start with this story in college basketball, which thankfully was shot down, it seems, almost immediately by the NCAA, because I would hate for that to be some sort of precursor or some sort of precedent that college football would use to expand the playoffs by allowing, as the ACC proposed, every single team in college basketball to be part of this year's tournament. Thank you. Yes, forever is a great time frame here, indefinite. Just like some of these postponements that don't have a date yet back, we know they're coming back. This one is forever. Now, I don't even want to leave the door open for something indefinite. But look, we've got football back. I know there were a couple of postponements on the schedule this weekend that we have to maneuver around. Let's start, though, with how the weekend kicks off, and that's tonight. Any real value jump out with this Miami game? All right, so let's look ahead then, as far as Saturday is concerned, and just looking at the bigger lines to see how value might play out, especially for a dog. And we can start right there on the noon Eastern kicks. North Carolina is laying 22.5. I see that might have gone down, but 22.5, is that too big of a number for Cuse? Hmm. Another big one, and as you know, locally to us here in the Delaware Valley, there is an overwhelming amount of Notre Dame fandom. So it's a game that's been talked about at the very least. Duke doesn't blow any doors off, but 20 points is 20 points. Anything jump out? Maybe not the number itself, but does anything jump out at that Notre Dame Duke game? Would it make you feel better if I teased them down to 13.5? Right. All right, where is the best value? We hit a couple of big games by a ranked team here, but just looking across the board, we're not beholden to any numbers, especially a top 25 ranking. When you look at this week, even seeing a 33.5 point line for Clemson, where is the best value in Michael Calabrese's eyes? Yes. You hit that last week on the show. Michael Calabrese joining us at East Breeze on Twitter, Action Network at Action Network HQ, Saturday Down South at SDS. The week 2 picks are up. All right, give us a game that you've seen a lot of people, colleagues of yourself, down to idiots like me, salivating over that you wouldn't touch with my money, let alone yours. Love it, man. This is what I do. Every time I have an opportunity to chat with you on any of the shows that I do locally or nationally, in this case, I build a bet. And we can actually do this now where it's the Calabrese teaser, thanks to you. And all I did was just put together your advice individually. Now, I separated that and pounded that over 74.5 as a separate bet for Houston Baptist. But the teaser is now UAB to 21, Syracuse to 30, and Notre Dame down to 13.5. You okay with that? Can you sanction that? Oh, I'm locked in there. No, you're right. They won't hear. Why? Yeah, why is that? Is it because why is the total in that game not involved in the teaser? Hmm. Awesome, Michael. Thank you as always, sir. I appreciate you. Be well and be safe. Michael Calabrese at East Breeze on Twitter. We wrap the hour next here on the second level. Oh man. All right, back on a Friday. Looks like John McMullen will join us on Friday. So we'll get our reaction to what happened last night from John. We'll also talk a little more about heading into the week that is just going to be insane on Sunday. And we'll laugh at people that loaded up on Texans and Chiefs tonight in Thursday through Monday night leagues. Now, do you play the dailies, or are you just out entirely when it comes to fantasy football? Okay, so no daily leagues. You don't really? Okay. I'm just curious. It's just curious. But do you bet at all? Or is it just nothing across the board? You just sit down and watch your football team play? Okay, just curious. And this is not judgment. I've already judged you on not playing fantasy football. I'm not going to continue to judge. Wow. So you cashed out on that ticket right away, that $20. You didn't put it back in for more betting. Fair enough. Now we have locally here, we have slots and on the apps. So DraftKings, Fox Bet, they'll all have the ability to go to their casino, their virtual casino. So I had this story a couple of weeks ago where I was up, it was like 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep, and I was going to place a 2-game parlay, one of them being the Lakers, another, I can't remember who the other team was, but it was the same game parlay, Lakers and the under, Lakers cover and the under. And I mistakenly added a 0 at the end of my bet to the normal unit. So it was a pretty big bet that I'm normally not placing, and I wasn't comfortable placing, but it was 3 a.m. and I mistakenly placed it. So I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness. I've never watched a game for the LA Lakers more invested than I was that night. They win, it hits, I make something back, immediately lost it in slots. Yeah, immediately. Just kept putting in credit after credit. Because you know what happens is they hit you with the early jackpot. So I hit the early jackpot. I won like $40 off one spin. And then I proceeded to lose that $40 on top of the next fill in the blank that I spent, that I probably took about, I'd say, 2/3 of my winnings that I put on slots. These things are dangerously addictive, man, honestly. Like, I could see why somebody would sit there at a casino and pop nickel slots all day. It's definitely, it becomes entertaining and hypnotic at the same time. And now I'm addicted to it on my phone. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. And it's an easy way to like let certain amount of money, whatever unit is you place on a bet, you can let that last just a little bit longer in slots. But we'll see. Tonight, again, love that under. That's been the big one for me all day. That's not going to change. Absolutely love the under tonight. I love the under across the board. I'll give you 7 unders to hit tomorrow throughout the show. That's how crazy and wacky of a week one it will be. Thursday night football, the return of the season. Matt Perrault next on Sports Map Radio. Thanks, Jose. You too, brother. Thank you. You got it.